Greetings once again, heroes and villains out there. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with My Hero Academia, where previously, Izuku went to go visit Spinner at the hospital to finally relay Tomura Shigaraki's final words to him. We also found out that Spinner was very much becoming a Nomu, but was saved thanks to the studies on Nomus that the hospital had already been conducting ever since the first one. We see reports going on about people asking the question of who was Tomura Shigaraki. Naturally, the populace looked down on him, calling him a loser, a freak, and belittling him because of the damage that he did. And even those who try to understand Tomura Shigaraki's past are quickly told that they shouldn't try to sympathize in any way with Tomura, not really understanding that understanding Tomura could help prevent a similar situation as him. But Spinner knew Tomura. Spinner was a friend of Tomura, probably the closest out of anyone, and probably the only person who would actually shed tears for Tomura. Spinner says that he will write a book on Tomura, kind of going against what the Paranormal Liberation Front wanted out of him, as they wanted Spinner to be the face for the heteromorph. Spinner wants to be the face that tells the true story of Tomura Shigaraki, with Deku even suggesting make it a comic book, kind of drawing back to the fact that it was comic books that influenced the original holders of All for One and One for All. We also see that Overhaul's boss, the original leader of the Shie Hasaikai, has been able to wake up thanks to, again, medical advancements. And he proceeds to read Overhaul the riot act for everything he did. There's no sympathy there, as Overhaul continues to show that he pays not one single thought to what he did to Eri, not even in the slightest. And so, Izuku returns to school, where we see, of course, fangirls chasing after Shoto and Bakugo. The return to My Hero Academia is fully underway. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out. Well, alright, My Hero Academia number 428. The Girl Who Loves Smile. Uraka? We see the underclassmen outside of Class 2A's door, as the students all say, I saw his live battle against All for One. I've been a fan of Todoroki since the sports festival. Same, he's the reason I chose this career path. Same here, me too. As Bakugo and Shoto stand behind Tenya, who blocks the doorway, he says, please understand that your role models are only human. You mustn't hound them, lest you turn into an unruly mob and frighten them. Shoto peeks out saying, happy to chat, but one at a time, please. Tenya says, see, it takes a lot to make Todoroki flee from a conversation. While Bakugo shouts, they were running in the hallway, Prez, you hear me? Running! Bakugo can Tenya to back him up. Tenya says, indeed, rules exist for a reason. Furthermore, they're still convalescing in the wake of their battles. Grant them the rest and repose they require. The students are shocked, and they all bow, saying, we're so sorry about this. We spotted them and couldn't help ourselves. You see Ida just doing his usual hand motions. Shinso asks Sero, I would have thought Bakugo relished an adoring crowd. Sero says, even he gets flustered by that many fans, I guess. Meanwhile, with the others, an angry Kaminari says, must be nice. As he leans on Deku's seat, Deku says, girls have always kept their distance from Kachan, so maybe he's not used to female attention. I've known him for years. Shinso says, oh, surprising. While Mineta says, not surprising at all, damn it. I'll give the guy props for his heroics, but bad boys do not deserve to get chicks. You would think that. Bakugo then says, get lost already. And the kids say, eek, sorry again. And I think it's Shinso who says, right, not surprising, now I see it. Although one kid tries to peek past Tenya saying, excuse me, Midoriya-senpai? I saw you in the fight, and it gave me all sorts of courage. Like, I felt like I had to stand up and do something myself. You were super inspiring. I really mean it. So, thank you. And sorry to bother you. Deku's shocked at this, but then the memory of Spinner flashes in his eyes, flashes in his mind, and Deku can only eke out a, okay. And Deku thinks, this pain. Yeah, Izuku won, but it wasn't really the way he wanted to win. Meanwhile, with the other student, Mineta grabs Bakugo by the tie, saying, Midori and Todoroki get a pass. Bad boys don't deserve chicks! As he cries tears of blood. My soul won't accept it! Kirishima puts his arm around Bakugo, saying, hey, come on, those battles were nuts, yeah? And we see the girls just watching. As Kirishima says, and they were at the center of it all. So can you really blame those kids? Meanwhile, in the staff room, President Might sits down with Eraserhead, saying, the media is asking you to interview Class 2A again. Eraser says, I'm saying no. Ectoplasm Lin leans in, saying, some of them would welcome the chance, yes? Mineta for one. But Eraser says, but others wouldn't. They take priority, and even Mike has a solemn look on his face. We then cut over to the cleanup effort, where Eraser addresses his class, saying today we're on reconstruction duty. And we see Deku in his new outfit. We see Fat Gum and Best Genius, with Gum saying, if it ain't Class A. Kirishima pumps his arm, saying, pumped to be working with you, Fat. And Fat Gum says, you bet. As Tokoyami and Higakure jump on his belly. Fat Gum says, Sun Eater's here too as my sidekick. And we see Sun Eater helping with the reconstruction. Best Genius then addresses him, saying, this way, you all. And we see them starting to clear debris. Sugar Man rolling over the land. Yayorozu minding a bin, saying, bring all metal over here, please. And you see Tokoyami, Sero, Shoto, and Midoriya all clearing away the debris. Shoto saying, first, we level the ground, right? As Best Genius uses his ability, he says, quite the damaged denim, aren't you? You really ought to be recuperating, yet here you are. And cut to Kachan doing light lifting as he's moving some bags. Bakugo then spots Edgeshot, who is looking a little bit bigger. So he can just grow back. Okay. So, man, you made it seem like Edgeshot had pretty much killed himself saving Bakugo, but it's like, nah. Hey, he kind of screwed himself over. But it seems like at some point he'll be back to size. Bakugo says, so you're still a pipsqueak. And Edgeshot says, worry not, I'm recovering a bit slowly. I even have hands now. Bakugo then questions, will you ever get back to normal? And Edgeshot puts his hands on his hips, saying, from the onset I intended to seize the day in triumph. He didn't really answer the question. We see other people watching as Class A gets to work. Kaminari clearing the way. Kirishima clearing the way. Ojiro, Shinso using his capture tape. Uraraka using her cables to clear away debris. Mina using her acid. An older gentleman walks up saying, hey youngsters, how about lunch? The kids say, check it out, onigiri. For us? Really? That's nice spread. The old timer says, our property got blown off the map in the big battle. Deku remembers his words before the battle, saying, we'll bring it all back. And Deku looks down, saying, I'm sorry. The older gentleman says, not at all. I don't mean to say I hold it against you. When we saw you bunch fighting the good fight, we realized we had no business sitting around moping. Can't ask you to handle this job all on your own. Nah, we're ready to step up and do our part to rebuild too. Kaminari says, after this awesome feast you laid out, we'll finish the job today. The older gentleman says, might be a little short-handed to get done that quickly. Suddenly a bus approaches, catches Eraserhead's attention, and he says, no other bus was scheduled to show up. Cementos gets off saying, sorry, Eraserhead. My class insisted on apologizing. The kids from before get off the bus, bowing their heads, saying, we're sorry again about earlier. We didn't consider what you've been through. Oh my god. Kaminari says, these first years are seriously intense. Eraser turns to Cementos, questioning, and why did you humor them? Cementos says, their extreme remorse got to me. The boy from before says, you senpai fought so hard for everyone, so now we want to help you out in return. We may not have our provisional licenses and the school year has only just begun, but please let us do whatever we can. Cementos tells his students, attend to minor tasks, okay? And don't be getting in the way of the second-year student. The kids say, yes, sir. Kirishima says, these underclassmen are mysterious entities for real. They're enthusiastic. And being the underclassmen of the class that helped save the world played the biggest part in saving the world? Hell yeah. The older people say, We didn't prep lunch for it, so many though. But the new class one says, it's fine, we already ate. The older gentleman from before says, not sure how this came about, but I suppose one turn of good hard work inspires the next and so on. Izuku still has that kind of blank look on his face, but it's interrupted by Froppy calling out to Ochako as she nibbles on a rice ball. And as Ochako says, yeah, little by little things are taking a positive turn. What a relief. Deku seems to be mystified by this comment, and as Uraraka runs off, she says, that's all. I'm good, Sue. Anyway, which onigiri flavor do you want, Deku? Takana greens? Wow, same here. Yeah, Takana and umboshi pickled plums are top-tier flavors. And as she nibbles on a rice ball, she says, what a feast. But that twinge of pain races through Deku again. He still has that blank look on his face. What's going on in your head, buddy? It's weird to not have Deku just kind of doing his verbal diarrhea thing back at the dorms. 7 p.m. Deku's narration says they eased up on the dormitory requirements. Those who wanted to move back home were allowed to do so. As several of the students are sitting in the lobby, Froppy comes forward saying, Uraraka said she's heading home for a bit. Ochako hasn't read my latest text. The reporter, one of the cameramen from before during the battle says, oh crap. The reporter says, what now? Cameraman says, I messed up big time. In the rush to get up here in the chopper, I didn't realize the camera battery was dead. Oh, did people not see what Uraraka had done? Uraraka looks over the city and thinks that day there was no camera there to capture the end of our battle. She smiles, saying, the cityscape's looking back to normal already. She remembers her words from before, little by little things are taking a positive turn, what a relief. But then she thinks, feels like nothing has gotten better ever since then. It's like the sun is setting and the shadows are growing long. Like those other times, it's really over now. Everything's been settled, and that's a good thing. As she thinks back to all the previous battle with the League, she thinks, the world's facing forward and ready to bring it all back. I love the fact that everyone's smiling again. Tears begin to well up in her eyes. She grabs her chest, thinking, I don't want to be a party pooper. And then she thinks about Toga, thinking, that's why, just like before, I'm dealing with this lasting pain by shutting it all away. And as she begins to cry, Deku arrives, calling out to her. First of all, it's great to kind of see how it is for Deku and the others being upperclassmen now. Just the interactions that they have with their juniors and all that. The reconstruction efforts. So many series would have just ended it at, oh, happy ending, rebuilding, yada yada yada, but I actually like that there is still something to be said. This was not, oh, and everyone's happy victory. Yeah, they got through it, but it wasn't clear cut, and I think that's what Horikoshi was always trying to get at. This was not some clear cut situation. Yes, the League of Villains, it's in the name, were bad people, but all these characters got to understand these bad people and understand what made them bad people. And the level of empathy that they have is painting them. Because, well, Spinner was pretty much berating Deku before. Deku was trying to make it known, no man, I didn't win the victory I wanted to win. To a certain degree, I saved Tomura's soul to some degree, but I wasn't able to save the person. There's things about the victory that don't sit right with Deku, and it's what they're feeling that will help to change hero society. Because the whole thing about Ochako and Toga's battle, that it really sucks that the camera didn't see, is that Toga decided to apparently sacrifice herself for Uraraka. We don't know what happened to Toga. Did she die? Is she in a coma? Is she just locked up somewhere? There are others we haven't seen. We don't know about Mr. Compress and all that. And there's even the situation of Stain joined in the final battle. What about him? The thing that Horikoshi keeps emphasizing is that it wasn't some clear-cut thing with these villains. There were reasonings as to why they were doing what they did. Again, it doesn't make it right, but someone needs to understand to maybe stop this from happening again, to help those who are going through the same thing. These are the people who lashed out, but what about the people who just continue to suffer in silence? What about them? There's so much sympathy, especially in the characters of Uraraka and Deku, that they can't just move on with their lives because there are people who no longer have lives to move on with, even if it would have been behind bars. Spinner talked about the future, and he has one to live. He'll be locked away for a good long time, but he has something he's striving for. But with all that Deku and Uraraka know, they can't just move on from this. They know too much, they've experienced too much, they understand too much. And I'm so curious where Horikoshi is going with all of this, because in the end, what they learned from the villains are also part of, I know it's cheesy, but it's part of their Hero Academia. They learned. But what was the lesson they learned? We'll just have to see. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din and hope to see you later. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.